What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pizza Time and the quest for the perfect pizza, episode 2. Today's pizza, I'm making a chicken garlic ranch or white pizza. The first step I did for this pizza was to pre-cook the chicken, then put it in the fridge while I waited for the dough to rise. I used a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, minced garlic, thyme, oregano, basil, a tablespoon of butter, and around a half a pound of chicken because I only used half this recipe. The smell was pretty awesome when you cook this, let me tell you. You want to start by cutting the chicken up into around 3/4 inch strips or cubes, or at least bite-sized chunks for the toppings, and put it in a container. When it's done, drop a tablespoon of olive oil over it, and then season it well with thyme, oregano, and basil. When this is done, add in 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, and about a tablespoon pat of butter. At this point, you can seal up the container and let it sit overnight to marinate the chicken, if you wanted to. Doing this isn't necessary, the chicken will taste amazing either way, so it's up to you. Let's cook this chicken. Heat a saucepan over medium heat and drop the contents of the container of chicken in. Cook until the chicken is done in the center and is lightly seared, stirring occasionally. Keep in mind it will cook even longer in the oven, so try not to cook it too long or it will dry out. When it's done, put it in a container with a seal and put it in the fridge when it's cooled down. I did something different to make this dough and mixed in Italian seasoning. I used a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, 3 cups of bread flour, a cup of warm water around 110 degrees, around 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, and 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Put the yeast in the water that's around 110 degrees to activate it and let it sit for about 10 minutes. You know it's done when it's foaming. While you wait, you can mix the flour in a bowl with the salt and sugar. I added quite a bit of Italian seasoning to the bread flour and mixed it up. I kept doing this until I could see it was mixed in well with the flour. I did not measure how much I used and went off a visual cue. I wanted the crust to noticeably have seasoning flakes in with it, and it turned out great. This added a lot of flavor to the crust. I usually mix the liquid ingredients together, but for some reason I mixed 1 tablespoon of the olive oil in with the yeast water and 1 in with the flour. I recommend mixing the olive oil in with the yeast water. This way the oil mixes more even when you add it to the flour. Add a bit of the liquid mixer at a time to the flour and start stirring until it's mixed together. As you stir in the liquid, the dough should start to clump up. When the dough starts to clump up, dust your hands with some flour and start kneading the dough until it's slightly tacky and no longer sticky. It should take about 10 minutes or so. When you are done kneading, form the dough into a ball and dust it with flour. Dust the bottom of a rather large container well with flour and set the dough ball inside. I like to soak a towel in hot water and cover it over the container. I usually set a plate over it to trap the moisture inside. Now let it rise for about 8 hours. 8 hours later. You can cut the recipe in half, or you can cut the dough in half after it rises. Put the extra half in a container and it will refrigerate for about up to a week. If you plan on letting it go longer, you can freeze it. Frozen and refrigerated dough will need to be left out at room temperature for around another 8 hours to let it adjust. Dust the ball of dough and a sheet of tinfoil with flour. And also your hands. I recommend Reynolds Wrap heavy-duty non-stick tinfoil. It's pretty great. Nothing sticks to it, and it makes cleanup a breeze. I use a rolling pin and form the dough into a circle shape the best I can. This way the bottom cooks evenly. When it's rolled out, I poke holes in it with a fork. This way there will be no bubbles when it cooks. Fold the outer ring of the rolled out dough over to make a lip for the crust. For this pizza I wanted a savory crust, so I melted a tablespoon of butter and around a teaspoon of minced garlic in a small bowl. I used a basting brush and tried to grab up as much minced garlic and butter as I could and coated the outer ring of the dough with it. Make sure the lip of the dough is sealed over well or it'll rise up and stick out like mine did on this pizza. Now we're on to the white sauce. I used Hidden Valley ranch dressing. Squeeze out the dressing and cover the pizza enough where you no longer see the dough. If you're not used to making white pizzas, do not be alarmed how this looks when it's done cooking, as it may look a little bit different than usual. I shredded up enough mozzarella cheese to cover the pizza. If you're making the whole batch, you might need several cups worth. Toppings are next. Evenly distribute the chicken around the pizza, and the same goes for the artichoke hearts. At this point, you might want to start preheating the oven to 450 degrees. After the toppings, I added just a bit more of that Italian seasoning. To the oven! Take the pizza and put it on a pizza pan, or stick it on a pizza stone that has been preheating in the oven. Depending on the oven, it will probably take around 15 to 20 minutes. You know it is done when the crust is golden brown. You might also want to touch the crust to see if it's crispy, but try not to burn yourself. It's done, dude! This pizza turned out really good. I did put it back in for a minute or two longer, and it got nice and crispy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.